All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Greater High Desert Chamber of Commerce, our April legislative action meeting. Glad that each of you can join us. So we will go ahead and get started. Just like if you attend our Friday morning coffees, if you could put your name and information in the chat so that everybody can see you, we would appreciate that. And then if you have any questions during the meeting, go ahead and put them in the chat so that our representatives can answer those for you. So I think we have got people. Are people still coming into the room, Mark, or are we good
I'm
to
letting
go?
them in, but everybody should be in.
All right. Okay, then we are going to, is Chris Scott on? Do we have Chris? Yes, there he is. Hi, Chris.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
Very good.
Awesome. Well, it's great to be here with you guys. I'll go ahead and jump in. Most recently, the Congressman introduced excuse me, a bill and a constitutional amendment that combined would address the nation's unsustainable debt, because currently the U.S. has a debt of over $28 trillion. And so that's over $84,000 for every American citizen. So that's why the Congressman introduced HRS 263, the Finding Federal Savings Committee resolution that would create reductions in federal spending by eliminating non-essential and underperforming programs. So in addition to that, the Congressman's Balancing Budget Amendment would seek to prevent the further growth of the national debt by basically requiring the government to do what essentially every American family across the country does. And that's to make sure that their spending doesn't exceed the amount that they bring in every year. And so we've seen Congress grappling with a multi-trillion dollar national debt as a result of recent spending packages, and we'll continue to see with more major spending bills. And so we know that a rising national debt means slower economic growth. It also means higher interest rates, crowded private investment markets, skyrocketing inflation. And so if we don't get our fiscal house in order, if we don't do everything we can to address this issue, the Congressman knows that means higher prices for constituents in his district for things such as a grocery store. That we'll see fewer jobs available in the future, a decrease in the value of your home, and a bigger monthly mortgage payment. So we can't kick the can down the road. We can't saddle this debt on our kids and their kids. So we have to be good stewards of the taxpayer money. So we'll keep you updated on those particular bills. Secondly, we saw back when we were in the state assembly, a bill called AB 5, which negatively impacted our independent contractors. Now we're seeing a bill called the PRO Act in Congress, introduced in Congress. Now the flexibility and the entrepreneurial power of independent contractors has really become an integral part of this nation's workforce, in both terms of providing flexible work opportunities and helping startups, small businesses, entrepreneurs get their business off the ground, get off the ground. So that's why the Congressman introduced an amendment that would have struck a provision of the bill that dramatically narrows opportunities for independent contractors. Now, specifically, excuse me, the bill would have struck Part B of the ABC test included in the PRO Act that requires the worker to perform work outside of the usual course of the hiring entity's business to be considered an independent contractor. So the PRO Act's restrictive ABC test for the independent contractor will significantly reduce flexibility for students, parents, small entrepreneurs, even retirees who benefit from the ability to create their own schedule and to take work opportunities on an ad hoc basis. So in addition to that, to further that, in a 2020 survey for the Coalition for Workforce Innovation showed that 94% of respondents were either somewhat or very satisfied with their independent work style, while 89% agreed it allowed for new opportunities and flexibility to improve their work lives. So in addition, new technological advancements have increased flexible work opportunities and open doors for more people to good paying jobs. So the PRO Act's ABC test would eliminate this flexibility and force workers to operate in more traditional and limited capacities that hurt both the workers and the employers. I mean, you've heard the Congressman state that if, back when AB 5 was introduced, if such a bill was introduced, his business wouldn't exist. So it's imperative that we don't introduce legislation that hurts small businesses, that hurts, our entrepreneurs and hurts independent contractors. So moving forward, we'll keep you apprised on that bill. And of course, in closing, I always want to make a pitch for our district office. if you or anyone that you know are dealing with a federal agency, please send them our way. That's why we're here. We're here to serve the district and to serve you. So it's imperative that you know that we're here, we're on your side. So if you come into a problem with the SBA, with the IRS, the Social Security Administration, any federal agency, you're more than welcome to connect with us. So thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you, Chris. Do we have any questions for Chris? Please put them in the chat if you do. All right, we'll keep watching that. And if you think of one for Chris, then just let us know and we'll go back to it. But thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. All right, we are going to move to Rebecca Tennyson.
Well, good morning, everyone. And I just want to say in advance, my Wi-Fi is kind of going in and out. So if I have gone out for a little bit, please let me know if you want me to repeat something.
Okay.
The legislature is back in session. They were on a little spring and Easter break, but they're back. And the bills introduced and that have been signed already by the governor include several that Senator Wilk supported. As we go into April now, there's a few deadlines with the bills are required to pass out of policy committee by May 14th and all fiscal committees by May 21st. So the deadline for bills to pass out of their House of Origin is June 4th, while the budget must be passed by midnight, June 15th. So those deadlines have not changed. But some bills possibly of interest to chamber members that have recently been passed and signed by the governor just in the last few weeks. One is Senate Bill 87, and that's the small business assistance bill I believe we talked about last time, which provides nearly $2.1 billion in state general funds for grants up to $25,000 each to qualifying small businesses and cultural institutions that have been hindered by government mandated pandemic shutdowns. So this was a major priority of Senator Wilk's and his entire caucus as SB 87 implements the vision proposed in previous bills they were working on. There is also Senate Bill 88, which is the Golden State Stimulus Program at a cost to the state of $3.7 billion for one-time $600 and or $1,200 tax refunds or cash payments to the following, to the participants who, there's a couple criterias, and one is if they're in a earned income tax credit program with earnings up to $30,000. Also taxpayers that have an identification number, the ITIN, in lieu, that use that in lieu of their social security number, with earnings up to $75,000. So taxpayers who are eligible for the ITIN filers, they would receive the $1,200. And then also CalWorks families and supplemental security, like the SSI recipients. Unfortunately, it does not include people on Social Security or disability. So we're taking a lot of calls on that. Senate Bill 94 is a business licensing fee bill. And again, this was recently passed by the legislature and signed by the governor. And it provides a one-time fee waiver of renewal fees for licenses of the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. This bill also requires the Department of Alcohol Beverage, the Alcohol Beverage Control, to establish a license renewal waiver request process and authorizes ABC to waive renewal fees for certain licenses for 2 years. In March, the legislature passed and the governor signed AB 86, which is Safe School Reopening Funds, which provided $6.6 billion from the general fund to support schools in offering in-person instruction, expand in-person instructional time, and provide academic assistance to mitigate learning loss. So $4.5 billion would go to schools whether or not they reopen 2 billion would be provided as incentives for schools to reopen sooner. Senator Wilk and members of his caucus proposed amendments to require at least 3 days of in-person instruction, as the bill only requires 1 day, but the majority party did vote that down. Senator Wilk and the caucus did vote for the bill, but expressed that this is not enough to get our schools opening properly. And there was also a provision for homeschooled pupils that was included in the bill, which allows test score reporting to be waived for the Cal Grant applicants. And then that was if the certified scores are unavailable due to COVID-19. So there was, oh, one more that might be of interest to the chamber. Senate Bill 85, and that's the paid sick leave, which would require employers with only 1 or more employees to provide up to 80 hours of paid sick leave per calendar year to all employees for COVID-19 related reasons. And that would be retroactively to January 2021. Let's see. Those are statistics. Senator Wilk has several bills that are going through the process. Everything's kind of still in committee process, but we'll get a little more on that as they come out of committee. So again, similar to what Christopher Scott said, here in the district, if you have a state-related issue, if you're having trouble getting through to a State Department, please reach out to us, and we will try to get an answer for you, or get a contact, or help you reach that department. It's been very challenging, I know, and but that's what we're doing right now. So please reach out to us. Thank you.
Okay, Rebecca, looks like we got a couple of questions for you. The status of SB 265. And then what was the school bill number?
So that was status on SB 265?
Yes. It's also, so it's an active bill, but it is in the committee process. So in other words, there's been no votes on it. Looks like it's going to governance and finance right now. Let's see. Yeah. So a lot of the bills that are active are still in the committee process, and that was why I was highlighting a couple that actually passed and were signed February, March, and now April. So it's pretty much the COVID related bills, emergency bills, bills to help our small businesses and our educational institutions, everybody get back on board. Those are the ones that are being streamlined through. And as a matter of fact, they've asked the legislators to kind of hold back on bills that are not related to that, so that they can be focused and move through quickly. The school bill is that's an assembly bill, AB 86. Okay. All right. Any other questions for Rebecca? All right. Again, if you think of something as we're moving along, we can circle back. But thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate it. All right. Okay, we're now going to move to Cassie Vickers from Assemblyman Thurston Smitty Smith's office. Go ahead, Cassie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cassie. I'm a field representative for Assemblyman Smith, and thank you so much to everyone at the Greater High Desert Chamber for allowing me to speak with you guys today and give you an update on what the Assemblyman has been up to. So since the start of his term, the Assemblyman has been assigned to 8 different committees, including the Vice Chair of the Environmental Safety and Toxic Materials, the Budget Committee, Military Affairs and Veterans, Jobs, Economic Development and the Economy, Government Organization, and Water, Parks, and Wildlife. And since being elected to the Assembly in November, he's been hardworking up in Sacramento introducing legislation. As many of you guys may know, EDD has been a complete disaster during the COVID-19 pandemic. And that's why the Assemblyman authored AB 8. And this would allow all unemployment recipients to receive their benefits through direct deposit rather than on EDD Bank of America cards. And this would reduce thousands of fraud cases in our system. And he's also additionally co-authored 5 bills that also aim at fixing the rampant fraud within EDD. And then in January of this year, he introduced 2 bills that are aimed at incentivizing entrepreneurship for our veterans. The first one being AB 1151. This would exempt all veterans from the fees required to offer the veteran designation on their California driver's license. This has received bipartisan support and recently passed through the Assembly's Transportation Committee earlier in the month. And then he also introduced AB 1026, which would require the Department of Consumer Affairs to grant a 50% reduction for the initial license to an applicant who has served in the armed forces. And this would reduce the financial barriers that our veterans have when looking to enter licensed professions. Alongside this, our office has been working with CalVet, Senator Shannon Grove, and Congressman Obernolte's office to ensure that we are allocating long-term funding to keep programs such as the Barstow Veteran Home in operation, as that is a cause that the Assemblyman is very passionate about. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity for me to speak with you guys today. And if you guys have any issues or know anyone that has issues with a state agency, such as receiving their unemployment or issues with the DMV, feel free to reach out to us through our website or by calling our district office. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Cassie. Any questions for Cassie? Let's see here. Okay, I think Cassie, I don't think this question's for you, that just came over. So anyway, then we will go ahead and move to Kimberly Messon from Supervisor Paul Cook's office.
Good morning, everyone. So I just have a quick few things to cover, which you might have already heard or seen in the news. I also briefly went over it at morning coffee last week, but the county's rent relief program went live on Monday, so that those funds are available for tenants and landlords if you are in need of rent or utility relief. That is available starting Monday, April 12th through December 31st, or until funds run out. So the federal government actually granted the county a little under $50 million to help with those necessities. And we partnered with Inland SoCal United Way to help administer that program. So there are a few requirements that you do need to meet in order to qualify for the funds. If you go onto the county's Community Development and Housing Department website, or at the United website as well, it will send you to a second website, and on there you will be sent to the program website. So from there you have to answer a questionnaire. It's 5 questions. It's very simple yes or no questions that are going to determine if you qualify to apply for the actual rent relief funds. So the rent relief funds will give up to 12 months of rent relief or utility relief. It's a little bit different than the state program that's also being offered, but I did just want to cover the county one. We are trying to push that as much as possible. So if you have not received any flyers or PDFs or seen anything in the news on our Facebook or from our office, please feel free to reach out if you know of anyone who is in need, or if you know any landlords or tenants who have been affected by COVID and could really use the relief. We want to push this as much as possible to make sure that our constituents are able to apply and receive those funds. So that is available just to San Bernardino County residents. Fontana residents and San Bernardino City residents have their own program, so they are not able to apply for this one. I also mentioned at the morning coffee, if any of you were on, about the Amigos kitchens. So that is something that the supervisor himself said that he could not support. However, the board as a whole decided that they were going to ask county staff if they can come back with a program to test it out and see what its impacts would be. So they do have 3 months to come back with a program that they can launch as like a test run and see if they could possibly look into actually implementing as a whole. Supervisor Rao had mentioned that she would like to see a legislative fix on that and if cities and towns could opt out. Our district has had a lot of feedback, both in favor and against in regards to the Miko's kitchens. So we do encourage you to keep reaching out to our office so that you can voice your opinion and your side on that as well, because it hasn't been set in stone, what that decision is going to be. And then last but not least, we continue to work with county staff on our budget. It's one of our main priorities right now. Is everything, as you know, is happens with money in the budget. So we have been meeting with county staff to see what our priorities are and what needs to be, what needs additional funds. It was mentioned at the last board meeting that code enforcement is something that we should be talking about providing more funds to, because we are seeing a lot of constituent complaints. So we are working on our budget and we are making sure that we are voicing what our priorities are on that. And once that is finalized, it will also come up for a board meeting, hopefully sometime in June. But that is the update that I have. If you have any other questions about the rental program, I know that is probably the biggest thing right now. Please feel free to let me know or reach out to anyone else in our office.
All right. Any questions for Kim? Okay, so I got a question for you, Kim. Okay, so on the Miko's kitchens.
Yes.
So let's just pretend that I decide I want to do one of those at my house. Okay, so I got this great patio and everything. So we're going to have Saddle Rock kitchen. Okay, and I'm going to have what I can have up to, I can make up to $60,000 a year. And I can bring people in and let's call it Saddle Rock barbecue because it's in the backyard. And I'm going to have all these people coming to my house. Neither side of my neighbors can do anything about it. Noise, anything. No, it takes complete local control away. Is that, am I understanding that correct?
Yes, and that's one of the things that the supervisor has an issue with how the legislation is written. If the county approves this, the county pretty much gives the cities they have to deal with it. They are requiring their code enforcement to deal with it. And even then they can't really implement anything. So your neighbors could complain. You can complain about the parking issues in your neighborhood now, about the noise, and there's really nothing that you can enforce. What you report, you're only allowed to make, I believe it's like 30 meals a week or 60 meals a month total. That is not actually a number that you are going to write down and they're going to check on every day. You're just going to tell them and they're going to take your word for it and that's it. So, the program means well. It's just there's a lot of issues with how the legislation was written that we would like to see a fix on it.
Got it. Okay. All right. So I was reading it right. It was, I could see some problems. So, all right. Any other questions for Kim? All right. If not, then I'm going to move right into our chamber kind of updates. As all of you know, Mark and I spend a lot of time in legislative meetings each month. And one of them that we spend a lot of time with, in fact, we have a meeting tomorrow and it'll be, probably close to 2 hours. And it is, with the Inland Empire Chamber Alliance. We joined this a couple of years ago and it's been a great source of information for not only us legislatively to be able to help our small businesses and big businesses, all businesses, but I think it's also been a very good thing for Mark because, we've all been on different islands via Zoom. So it has been an amazing resource for us to see what other chambers are doing. And it's always interesting to see that other chambers we're all about businesses and they're all, suffering and working on the same things. So anyway, you can always go to our, to the Inland Empire Chamber Alliance site. Mark's going to put that in the chat. It's iechamberalliance.com, and you can follow along there and see the letters that we are writing. You'll see you can also look at our platform and we're very obviously focused on business. So you'll notice that as, you know, in our last meeting, we supported AB 267, which was, it's a CEQA one, which normally that sounds like something that we wouldn't support, but it's also managing our forests, and we're working to make sure that, you know, fire and thinning, the fuel reduction projects. So we as a group did go ahead and support that one. We did support also the institutional purchase of California grown agricultural products. That also sounds like one that, you know, can have some goods and bads, but especially in some of our Southern California areas, we need to support those businesses. They're struggling, and we obviously, you know, want to help those growers. We did oppose everything else. It's a real, Mark and I are always constantly in the people that are elected in different offices, and many people on this call, it's just a lot of, oh no, that's not good. So lots of oppositions, you know, that we take for the businesses. We did, Mark's going to talk about AB 74, but we did oppose AB 63, which would have legislated that grocery stores had to increase the wages for their workers, therefore hurting business. Remember, we're thinking about businesses. And then we also did oppose the South Coast Air Quality Management District Board. They're changing up their membership. They're wanting to move that membership around to maybe kind of play with the politics on the board. And so we did oppose that one. That ended up being AB 1296 and SB 342. So anything that we think that's going to, and obviously we're very fortunate up here. I see Marshall's on here with with our air quality up here in our district up here, but down in South Coast Air, not so much. They have their struggles, a lot of struggles. So every time you see Marshall and Ryan, thank them that we're not part of South Coast. So anyway, that kind of is what our most recent stuff is. Again, I encourage you, if you're curious, go to, the iechamberalliance.com, and you can look at our platform and different things. We are very, geared obviously towards business, which that's what chambers are. Now, we are moving along here pretty good, and hopefully I'll be able to give you a few minutes back on your day, because we're going to ask for a few minutes from you towards the end of the month. So the Inland Empire Chamber, usually we've been trying to get Sacramento. We had to cancel obviously last year due to COVID. And what we'll do at some point, and maybe even towards the end of the year, we will go 20 to 30 chambers strong up to Sacramento. And that will be better than one chamber at a time. That will show a cohesiveness and as we go up there. But in the meantime, we're still virtual. So mark your calendars. And again, you can find this on, and Mark will be sending out stuff. If you haven't seen, he's been sending out a legislative update newsletter, and all of this information is on there. And I want to thank him for that. It's very, very informational. But as of on April the 28th, it will begin at 9 a.m. and it'll go to about 12. But we will have from the assembly, and these could change, but this is the last that I heard. And remember, this is chambers, Inland Empire wide. We will have Eduardo Garcia. We'll have Chad Mays. We'll have James Ramos. We'll have our own Thurston Smitty Smith. And then from the Senate, Rosalicio Ochoa Bogue, and then Richard Roth. So you'll have a wide variety of people. And some of the priorities for that advocacy day is recognizing, again, what our small businesses and everything are needing. We're going to look at, we want the discussion be around unfunded state mandates. That was a big deal as we started looking at the program for this. Business liability, small business assistance, protect small business, supporting our logistics industries, AB 5 reform, alignment with federal standards, the balance of the industry policies, upskilling opportunities, broadband deployment, and then obviously homelessness. That affects many businesses, in our area. So anyway, those are some of the things I encourage you to mark your calendars. Mark will be sending out more information on that. And like I said, we're probably going to give you a few minutes back to your day today, hoping that you'll give us a few minutes of your time towards the end of the month. So in the meantime, I believe I am done. Was there any questions? Okay, yeah, we got the county website and everything. Yes, the host breakfast, Casey, is a completely different thing. That's, CalChamber. So I see that you've got that in there. Anyway, but we'll move right to CalChamber. So Mark, you want to go ahead and take it away?
I had to remember to unmute myself. Thank you very much, Shannon. What I just put into the chat box is the most up-to-date CalChamber job killer bills for 2021. Most of these bills cover labor and employment mandates, tax increases, housing, government relations, and enforcement. We're on a CalChamber call pretty much every Thursday, and they really do throw a lot at us, but they're really good about providing information. But I just wanted to give just an update on a few bills that the Chamber has taken a position on. First off, we supported the position on AB 1122. It will increase diversity in the workplace by limiting the threat of litigation under the Fair Employment and Housing Act against employers that hire and promote diverse applicants. The next four bills we took in opposition. We opposed AB 995. This will impose significant costs on small businesses by amending the Healthy Workplace, Healthy Family Acts. Basically, this will force businesses to increase the number of paid sick days. Those businesses that can afford to offer more days of sick leave are doing so, but not all businesses can absorb those costs right now. We opposed AB 1074, which is a return to work mandate, imposes an erroneous and stringent process for specific employers to return employees to the workforce, which will delay rehiring and employers' ability to reopen after being forced to close or reduce operations, obviously due to COVID-19. We also opposed a position AB 1179, which is a costly new mandate on employers to pay for employee childcare, imposes a new costly mandate on public and private employers to cover up to 60 hours of employee childcare cost each year. Lastly, we also chose to oppose AB 286, which is government price fixing, basically unnecessary government interference in business-to-business contracts by fixing a contract price between two private entities. This bill claims to be addressing the harm caused by the pandemic, but is not limited to the pandemic and lacks any data that price fixing will provide any financial relief. Again, we're on these calls. We're always updated on things that are coming in and out of committee, what's going to the floor. We're sent legislative on a sometimes every other day, asking for us to oppose or support. The Greater High Desert Chamber of Commerce is always going to support job creator bills and oppose job killer bills. And again, I put the link in the chat box if you want to go to the CalChamber advocacy site. They have a really user-friendly site where some of you that had asked questions about specific bills, you can go to the CalChamber, go under advocacy, and you can actually look up bills by doing a bill search, and it'll tell you, where the bill is in the process and if the CalChamber has taken a position on that. So that's all I have, Shannon. Thank you.
All right. So like I said, we're going to give you a little bit of time back to your day. Mark your calendars for the April 28th Advocacy Day. Mark will be sending out more information on that. And I so appreciate each of our electeds and their staffs. Mark and I are always reaching out. I don't know about you guys, but this is hard stuff. You read it, and I really respect those that represent us and their ability to go through it. And I reaching out to our businesses. I reached out to Casey, and I was like, what in the world? And was able to get that. We've reached out to, I see Don Brown on here. We've reached out to Marshall. This is hard stuff. And, if you were in our CalChamber days meetings, Mark, I'm sure, is watching his text, because that's going to be, are you kidding me? That is probably the thing I say the most. And I'm going, you've got to be kidding me. I can't believe this is being put out there. So anyway, we're doing our best. Always feel free to send Mark anything that you would like us to look in. We would be more than happy to take it to Inland Empire Chamber Alliance, because then again, you get the might of all of the chambers behind something that is affecting you or your business. So in the meantime, if there are no further questions, our next actual legislative meeting will be May the 20th. Actually, it won't be May 20th, 19. It'll be May 20th, 2021. But anyway, we will have that. And
Sorry, Shannon, the slide was correct at least.
I almost said 2019. We're going to go backwards. But anyway, we will go ahead and adjourn. Have a good rest of your day. Again, if you need anything from us, please let us know.